Hey folks, Blaster again. Wow, 2 videos in a day. I'm good. So, here's the long-awaited Vanguard deck profile for Revenger's Raging Form Dragon. Deck's finally finished at last, so we're able to go through the deck fully. Explain why cards are in here, how they synergize with other cards in the deck, and the general purpose of everything, really. Wow, that's a really profound the general purpose of everything. Yes. So we'll start with the starting Vanguard. This is Creeping Dark Goat here. Not Frontline Revenger Claudus, because while Claudus is good and it is in here, I prefer using this because the whole point of this deck is to have multiple Raging Form Dragons so that you can ride one over the other using the Limit Break skill. So I need to have at least 2, well, I need to have one to ride and then one for the skill, so that can help find them by using its own skill to put into soul and search top 5 for grade 3. Obviously you're not guaranteed to find one, but it does help, and obviously you can use that from the instant you take damage, so it's kind of good. It means you don't have that urgency of needing to draw a grade 3 in your starting hand, and you're not lost if you don't, because it does give you that extra chance. Next, Frontline Revenger Claudus. Like I said, it is in here despite not being the Vanguard. This is in here because of Darkbond Trumpeter, who I'll get to later. So that's off to call trigger with her skill, and as well it does really have a nice effect to call BDR as well. So yeah, I do have both of them in here. Triggers, yeah, but for Revenger Air Raid Dragon, critical. For Grim Revenger, criticals. So that's 8 critical. For Freezing Revenger, draw. And of course 4 heals for Healing Revenger. So yeah, not my usual trigger setup. Usually I go 6-6-4, but the lack of 2 different Revenger draw triggers sort of limited what I could play, because I did want to keep this as Revenger friendly as possible. Obviously only Creeping Dark Goat in this deck isn't a Revenger, everything else is. So 49 out of 50 cards are Revengers. Next is the grade 1s. For Barrier Troop Revenger Dorant. Very useful, making Blaster Dark Revenger's Counterblast skill 1 in essence. A 1 Counterblast instead of 2. So if you're going to use Blaster Dark Revenger, the clever people will put this in front of it, because when this is in the same column as BDR, then you get to unflip a damage, and because of the timing being simultaneous on both effects, you get to choose the order. So definitely worth using these in either case of how you choose to use the effects. Obviously that's going to depend on your circumstances. For Transient Revenger Masquerade. Very useful in early game for higher attacks. 10k when it's a rear guard and you've got a Vanguard with Revenger. You can use it as a Vanguard in your grade 1 as well. I mean, it doesn't really matter much in the early game what you're using as Vanguards, because unless you're grade stuck, you're only going to have it for one turn, and in early game you don't mind taking too much damage. And of course, Perfect Guards, Dark Revenger, Mac Lear, 4 of them. Standard fare, Revenger, Perfect Guard. You don't really need to say much more than that. And the last grade 1 is Revenger, Dark Bond Trumpeter. I was sort of floating between this and Sacrilege, Revenger, Balbedith, but I went with this because this works a lot better with Raging Form Dragon. Retiring, this can help build up a rear guard a lot better, either before or after you've used Raging Form Dragon. Grade 2s are number 4 of the Nullity Revenger Masquerade. Also a Revenger version of Knight of Nullity Masquerade from set 5, which was a double rare in set 5 back then. It was in the trial decks this time round. My own personal avatar, 4 Blaster Dark Revengers. That was obviously coming. I mean, it said my name. It is Blaster Dark. That's me. This is my avatar. Blaster Dark Revenger, really. The original Blaster Dark was very limited in its capacity because it couldn't really do much. It had to be in either MLB decks or Phantom Blaster decks, and Phantom Blaster wasn't that good, and Manticore Blaster was good at the time, but it's very quickly fading now. And the last one, 3 Dark Cloak Revenger Tartu, essentially the Revenger clone of Darkness Maiden Maka from set 4. This one does exactly the same, but it has to be Revengers. So, yeah, only using 3 of those though. Keep the numbers going. Because my grade 3s, 4 Mordred Phantom, Break Ride. Because Break Rides. And because this is where the Tartus and Dark Bond Trumpeters and Claudus really play into this deck, because once you Break Ride these, say if you Break Ride Raging Form Dragon over this, you can then use the Break Ride skill from this, Counterblast 1, pull out Tartu Counterblast 2, pull out Dark Bond Trumpeter, and Dark Bond Trumpeter Counterblast 1 pulls out Claudus, and there's 3 which you can then use for Raging Form Dragon to retire, and then you got your rewrite and you're fine. So, and then the star of the deck, the finally got all 4 of my Raging Form Dragon. Revenger Raging Form Dragon, which is the ace card of this deck, and essentially I just can't say enough about this card. It just breaks things. The only downside obviously is if you're using that the rewrite skill, then the triggers are just a bit wasted on it. Things like putting extra power onto it is a bit pointless, really, unless obviously they've gone 1 or 2 to pass. But yeah, other than that, Raging Form just breaks everything. Went to locals last week with only 3 Raging Form Dragons and still came second. The only reason I didn't come first was because of matchups. I had a draw in the second match, which give me a different matchup to if I'd won, so otherwise it would have come first. So yeah, I did, like I said, I did come second in a tournament with the deck not even complete, so very, very happy with how this deck's playing. But yeah, that's my Raging Form Dragon deck, and I'm ever so happy to have it completed at last. Just to show you this as well. This came from Japan, in the Purgatory Revenger Japanese starter set, which also supplied me with the box and a full Purgatory Revenger Japanese trial deck, a new set of Suzugomori Ren sleeves, and this nice little fighter's counter, which something there. Yeah, there we go. It's just it's kind of handy for your triggers, so you know where you've placed your triggers. I do need to get more of these actually. So that because obviously with these you get, with Raging Form Dragon you can get 4 drive checks, so you need 4 triggers. I'll need to get some more of those. But yeah, that is my deck. That's been doing me fantastically, and quite happy to have that. So that's all for now, really. Let me know what you think of this deck in the comments below. If you've not already subscribed, please do. And also contact me on Twitter at BlasterDarkRen. It's like the chat. It's like the it's like my YouTube name, but without spaces. Also, you can hear me on Vanilla and Peas, a rather ridiculous podcast that makes no sense whatsoever. At soundcloud.com/vanillapeas. Which will be linked below as well. Got a couple of videos planned, and hopefully soon I'll have another deck profile video of Oracle Think Tank Magus. But yeah, until then, stay happy guys. Peace out. Laters.